to the Thrive and Shine HR interview. I am really excited to be here today with Amy Schatt. Amy is someone who is a great resource, I think, for us in HR. She is a passionate certified life coach, dancer, choreographer, and educator who's dedicated her life to empowering others to reach their full potential. Drawing on over 20 years of experience in education, she understands the complexities of human motivation and has the ability to guide others in connecting with their inner desires. Her deep understanding of movement led her to develop the Radical Embodiment Method, a transformative approach that utilizes movement, coaching, energy clearing, and visualization. Her signature four-step process of reflect, release, re-envision, and redesign invites the awareness of thoughts and beliefs that live in the mind and body to surface so they can be reconciled and released. That sounds amazing. Her workshops support artists, creators, and individuals seeking a more purposeful and conscious life. With an impressive background in both coaching and dance, Amy brings a unique and dynamic approach to her work. Welcome, Amy, to Thrive and Shine HR.
Thank you so much. Do you see me on your?
I sure do. Yeah, I
Okay.
see and hear you.
Okay. I'm like on the side here. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you today. And yeah, so my journey has been one of a lot of growth. It started in my 30s when I got married, and I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I'm not, this doesn't feel right. And in my marriage, what I did was I sought out help through a meditation group, and I started in a women's group with meditation. And through those 3 years of meditating and learning about myself and learning about the patriarchy and learning about all these things, that was back in about 2001. Um, I was able to leave my husband and branch out. And with that branching out, I found the love of my life, one of them. I'm working on my second one. I found him, and we had a beautiful, very beautiful relationship. And what happened was he went into to the doctors, and 6 weeks later, he has passed away from cancer.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
I had to start from ground zero. I went back to college, got my BA, and then I got my coaching certification after that, and then I started my business as a coach, and then I came up and created the Radical Embodiment Method. So my life has been a bit of a roller coaster, but in that roller coaster, I really learned about myself. I really took the time to start again, to rebuild again, to question all of the things that I was taught, um, and to really let go of the things that were keeping me in uh, a box, like
Mm-hmm.
perfection, criticism, self judgment, um, uh, judging of others, all of those things that keep us so boxed in our own uh, pain and limitations. And so I worked very hard to rebuild my life from the ground up after losing my fiance. And I'm here today. That's why I'm here today, to really help women, mostly women, to really let go of the things that are not serving them and allow for the things to come in, new things to come in, new ways of thinking and being that really enhance a person's life.
I love that. And using the movement piece, I'm really excited to learn more about that just because I've really come to believe that our physical bodies, and in order to really get aligned within our mental health and emotional health, it's going to require us to get in line with that physical, our physical bodies as well.
Yes, many of us are not connected to our bodies. We've been so mind orientated, figuring things out
Hmm.
intellectually to really, use that linear approach in their life. And I know a lot of corporate HR people are very linear in their thinking and the way they take action. And so in fact, for me, I was the opposite. I was very body first. That meant very empathetic and very, you know, when people would say things, I would feel their reaction more than think about how to verbalize it. I I was actually shy. I would say I was shy growing up, but I wasn't really shy. I just didn't really know how to use my voice in such a way that I use my body more than my voice. Put it that way.
Mm,
So as women especially, it's so important that we get back into our bodies, we get back into movement, we get back into um, allowing ourselves to hear what the body is actually saying and listen to it instead of talk ourselves out of things.
yeah. Yeah, and really paying attention to what it is that might be trying to come out. So I think that's super, super fascinating. And there's just more and more research that comes out about that, about being able to really kind of work through trauma and work through things that have really, really impacted us in massive major ways through the use of finding that flow within our bodies. It's pretty miraculous stuff. So, when it comes to self care, right, and taking care of ourselves, there's such a stigma around it being seen as indulgent, as it being seen as selfish. What do you tell women you work with, and what do you tell yourself when that comes up for you, when it starts to feel as though, you know that it's needed, but yet we're always trying to talk ourselves out of it, and society does a great job as that as well. So, what is your advice for those out there who struggle with self care?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm a dancer, so I've been dancing my whole life. But let's see, I've been dancing, what, let's see, 46 years. I've been dancing 46 years. And it's interesting because as a dancer and a mover like that, you have to respect your body. Like you have to know when you're tired, you have to know when you're injured, you have to know when you need a day off, right? So what happens is you become hyper aware of what your body is saying and asking of you and feeling, right? And if you don't respect your body, if you don't respect your self care, you get injured, right? And if you get injured, it means you won't be able to dance. So there's some kind of built-in thing that people who are dancers, people who are movers, people who do yoga, where they listen to their body and they understand that self-care is imperative. And in fact, I would say I am right now, my mother, broke her hip. We're in this thing where that's like we're as women, we don't take care of ourselves.
Right.
We break our hip and then all of a sudden everything goes downhill, right? And this is what is happening to women a lot, and it is because women have neglected their body, neglected themselves for so many years. And I feel like we it doesn't have to be that way. I feel like as a physical person at 56 right now, dancing the way I'm dancing, moving the way I'm moving, I'm in the dance studio with people who are 70 years old dancing, right? So it doesn't have to be this way, but somehow women think that they're being selfish if they get a massage, selfish if they go work out, selfish if they take a dance class or do the things that they love. And unfortunately, sometimes we wear that as a badge of honor, saying that, oh, I wish I can go get a massage. I just don't have enough time. Or I wish I can go to the gym. I just don't have enough time. But I would say that our self-care is imperative to our health later on in life and our mental health now. And so I encourage everyone to go to the gym. I encourage everyone to take steps in that direction because I think it's an epidemic what happens to women once they break that hip. They just don't take care of themselves. And so I look at self care as honoring me, honoring who I am, and understanding the repercussions of when you don't do it. There are severe repercussions. And I have no interest in those types of repercussions. So I really have been self care for me is not selfish. It's not selfish. It's actually needed. Unfortunately, we've been trained that it's selfish, but just know that that is just this is not true. Not true at all.
Yeah, I've noticed that so often when things start piling up, my to-do list has gotten longer and longer. I, yeah, like so many others, it becomes really, really difficult to justify that carving out of something that just feels like an extra thing to do. And yet, what I'm hearing you say, and I think is so important as a reminder, is to really remember that this is not just another thing to do. This is essential for our well-being.
It is, and if you are taking care of a mother, right, who is going through this, right,
Hmm.
it is a kind of come to Jesus moment where you're like, this could be me in 20 years,
Yeah.
right? If I don't take care of myself, if I don't work out, if I don't do pelvic floor, if I don't, work on my muscles, if I don't really enjoy my life and take care of myself, what people call self care. I'm gonna put those in quotes. Self care. It's I feel like it's a dishonoring of self when you don't take care of yourself. And then all of a sudden we're stuck holding a bag going, what happened? Right?
With a broken hip. Yeah. I mean, it's so true though, and I think that we do that in so many areas of our lives. But our physical bodies and our physical well-being is the most it's the most curious and baffling as to how we are to one another. I mean, I used to be a heavy drinker for many, many, many years, and I would look back and it's baffling. What? And yet at the time, we're stuffing our face with sugar or we're doing, whatever, and people are just not fully consciously aware. And so, as a dance instructor, as somebody who really makes a life work out of moving our body and how that connection really comes to play in terms of our mental and emotional health. How have you really been able to pass along those benefits to others to really help people get into that habit, to start making it a habit, to move our bodies more and to recognize that as a true gift in terms of self-care and overall mental health?
Yeah, so this is about coaching, this is about releasing, this is about meditation, this is about reflection. This is about we want to move forward, like we want this thing, right? And here we are here. And we have to understand that we must let go of our old thoughts and beliefs that were keeping us here so we can move to the next level. And what happens is we think all we have to do is make a to do list and set some goals, and we're going to be moving right ahead. But the fact of the matter is, these beliefs, thoughts, and habits are always will be holding us back. We're always going to revert back. And so the coaching, the reflection, the opening up, the realization of you at the very core of who you are, letting go of all these things that were put on you, really needs to happen. We really need to get in there and be like, what is my true belief around these things? How is my mind working? What how is my emotions overtaking these situations? What am I doing? How is my anger affecting my life? How is my insecurity affecting my life? How is my not being confident affecting my life. And so we must go in and reflect, which is always the first of my system, is the reflection, is to reflect, like, what do I actually believe to be true? And how is that keeping me from my goal? How is that keeping me from the life that I want? Right? And so it's a very personal experience, personal journey. And it's a sacred journey of self to figure out what is actually happening with your mind and your body that is keeping you from moving forward. And
So oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, please.
Well, I just find that so fascinating because one of the things that I have found is a lot of times when it comes to what we truly believe, right? So you were saying, okay, it's really about like bringing this out. What do you really believe in terms of your potential, or what do you really believe in terms of your capabilities, and fleshing that out. And have you found with those people who just really are new to this type of work or this type of environment, what are some of the things that you have found that help people to be able to see and reflect in a way that's really honest and open, but also isn't too terrifying? That isn't so scary that they're going to run and never be seen again. So what kinds of ways do you go about really bringing about that truth of who we are, that might be a little uncomfortable, but is like you said, so necessary to be able to kind of work that through. So I'm gonna pause. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so it's multi-layered, and if people say like, "Oh, you're gonna manifest this in, a month," I would say, probably not. You know, the fact of the matter is that this is an exploration. This is how I look at it. This is an exploration. Now, when we use curiosity, when we use exploration, things unfold. Okay, my work is about unfolding. It's not about traumatic pushings, right? It's an unfolding. It allows for curiosity, it allows for exploration. Now, when that portal opens up, uh, I wonder what will happen if. I wonder why I think that. When curiosity, when that portal opens up, judgment doesn't live there. What happens is we are able to really use our imagination and to reflect and to be curious about what it's like, or what wonder why I'm doing these things, right? My personal journey in my transformation has never been traumatic. Never. It's always been with such care and a pace that was like good for me, that I felt good about. And it was more of an unfolding. That's how I worked with my mentor, and that's how I work with people. It's really about allowing time, allowing reflection, allowing, like, oh my gosh, this is like, I can't believe I've been doing this for so long, you know? And it is such an empowering journey because the shifts you make are always small shifts. They're always small. They're little steps, little shifts, little understandings. That's the unfolding. And I I do believe that one of the first things you have to know and admit to yourself is that everything that you've been taught, everything that you know right now, needs to be questioned. That from the very moment that you were conceived and you're in your mom's belly, you've been told what to think, you've been told what to do, you've been told who you're supposed to be, you've been told what your life is supposed to look like. And so When you walk into the grocery store, it's a whole infrastructure. You are being guided, right? So the first thing is like, actually, I have been indoctrinated my whole life. That's like the first admitting that nothing that's in front of me is actually real on some level, actually. And I am the creator. This is where the shift comes in. We are the creators of our own life, and we get to build our own systems. We are the creators, right? So instead of walking into a system and feeling like a victim, we switch into, wait a minute, I'm walking into a system. I know it's a system. I know it's set up for me to do this, this, and this, and this. So, how can I buck the system? The only way to do that is through awareness, is to say, I'm aware that when I walk into this supermarket, I am being pandered to by the junk food industry, right? They're trying to get me to buy this at the end. I'm checking out, there's all the candy bars there. That's set up there for a reason, right? So everything is a system. Everything is set up for that. That's marriage. That's going into the bank. That's going into school systems. Everything is just think. This is how I think. Everything is a system. Now, how can I flourish around this system? How can I be me in the system? How can I walk out with the fresh vegetables and skip the candy on the checkout? Right? So we all must be aware that we must question everything in our life. The way we parent, the way we are with our friends, the way we are with our family, because we are creators. That's what we have not been taught. We are the creators. We can do whatever we want, actually. We can build whatever we want. It's just that we walk into systems and do what the system tells us. So through reflection, through understanding that everything you've been told is just set up so that you do certain things, and that if you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have to. But that means you have to be the creator. You have to build. You have to use curiosity. You have to be creative. You've got to figure things out on your own and not look to your husband, not look to your wife, not look to your kids, but look to you and say, wow, what can I create here? What do I want to change here? Oh, you're muted.
As somebody who grew up in an environment where creativity was not um, wasn't considered like a commodity that was encouraged. And so I'm at a place in my life actually where as I started to come through and questioning and really starting to kind of see things for more of the truth of what it is, it put me personally, and I've talked with others as well, almost into this flux of like, what am I? Like it was very uncomfortable. And I'll totally admit I'm still in that learning how to be creative or learning how to start saying, okay, now what? Right? Like, how do I want to express myself? How do I want to show up in the world when I'm not so consumed with trying to please other people or thinking that it needs to be, this and that and X, Y, and Z? And so, for somebody who has been such a beautiful example of how we can use our bodies and really being able to grow from the standpoint of getting to know ourselves, what would you offer to someone who is very new in the creative, in any way of really coming to that place of, okay, I see it's all out now, right? Like the all the questions and all the confusion of what all this really is. How do I find a creative outlet? Where do you recommend people start when that's something that's been very foreign to them?
Yeah, so this is, I think when you go through your life and you go through your day, you can ask yourself, am I happy at this moment? Does this fulfill me doing this thing, right? So this is a good place to start. Because if you're going
Yeah.
to feel obligated to do something, you're going to do it. But if you say you're in the obligation and you actually admit to yourself, I'm not happy, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore, that's the true you, okay? That's, you start speaking to yourself, you start speaking the truth to yourself, you're going to start listening. It's called radical acceptance. When you radically accept, I'm not happy doing this PTA thing anymore, or I'm not happy in my marriage, or I'm not happy with these friends anymore, or I'm not happy being not happy. Okay? But you have to radically accept that that's where you're at. Okay? Now, people don't want to radically accept that. They want to make excuses for where they're at. And I say that is the best thing you can do is radically accept where you're at, be honest with yourself, and sit with it. Sit with it. Because once you tell yourself the truth, you're going to have more peace. Once you have more peace, you're going to feel stronger and more confident in your choices. It's when you don't accept the truth for yourself, like it is damaging to your own integrity and your own heart and your own passion for life. And so we cannot be fearful of saying, I'm not happy anymore. In my marriage, my first marriage, that's what happened. I was like, I'm in this thing. I'm like, I'm really not happy. I didn't try to blame him. I didn't try to change him. I said, I'm not happy. So I went out and found my meditation group of women, right? I went out and took those steps and found a solution that helped me after 3 years process everything I needed to process and dealt with my father, my mother, all that stuff, and left. And so I could have not been honest with myself and radically accept that I was miserable, and I could have spent all my energy on him, trying to fix him, right? I could have done that, but I chose not to. I chose to say, I'm not happy. I have to figure this out for myself because it's our responsibility as creators to create a life that we're proud of, to create a life that we love, to create. And so I would say, go through your day. Oh, I really hate doing this. I don't really like it. Right? Slowly. Just be honest with yourself. Just you and you. And then once you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, I want to do that, I don't want to do that, then be like, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What will make me happy? Because I will tell you, honestly, if you are in this this wheel of like doing everything, fixing everything, working on everything, to-do list all the time, there's no time to figure out what's gonna like make you curious and happy and playful. You have to say, I'm gonna stop the wheel. I'm gonna stop volunteering on Mondays, and instead of that, I'm gonna go to the spa, and I'm gonna take care of myself at the spa. Right? We have to stop the wheel. We have to stop the chaos. If we don't stop the chaos, we can't reflect on what we truly value. And if we're not honest with ourselves, we can never get to our true core of desires of self, of the things that we're passionate about, because we're on the hamster wheel. We're not taking time, we're not slowing down to reflect. So there's so many ways I would go through the day and be like, you're in it, and just write a little note. This sucks. Just
Yeah.
just be real. Real with you don't have to tell anyone else. You don't have to tell anyone else. You just be real with yourself. Right? Come back to self.
I love that. I love that. And I think that that's such great advice for anybody who's on their journey that perhaps it feels a little bit, uncomfortable or, uncertain about, where we might be. Slow down.
Slow down.
Slow down, pay attention. Don't feel so like so much in a hurry. I think that, some of that you said just now was so, I mean, it almost was like, I feel so seen, because it really, I think sometimes that pressure to feel like you've got to go, 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 and you've got to get it figured out, right? Because in so many other areas of my life, it's like, you have everything dialed into a T. But really, when it comes to our own transformation and growth, it's a very, very huge shift and an uncomfortable one to say, no, 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 just let it be. Let it be awkward. Let it be uncomfortable. Just let it be what it needs to be. Maybe write something down a little bit, but don't try to force it away. Would you say as well? I mean, that kind of advice of, really embracing, I've heard it say like embracing the suck, right? Embracing the recognition that sometimes when you're going through this transitionary period of your life and trying to kind of figure yourself out, it is going to come with a little bit of this, yeah, this uncertainty that you got to ride out a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I would say that, many of us are uncomfortable with being with ourselves. And it's very strange when you actually say it out loud,
Yeah. Right?
right? Because
Yeah.
it's us. We should be the most comfortable with self.
It's me. It's
It's
you.
me, right? Like, why am I afraid of myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because oftentimes we're living lives that we don't really want to live. We're
Yeah.
doing things that are hurting our integrity, that are hurting our heart, that are hurting our, feelings of safety. We're in relationships that aren't happy. We are selling ourselves out for fear of, I don't know what, being alone. And it's interesting. Why are we so afraid of being alone? It's us. We should.
Yeah.
This is like if you really think about it, like it's so backwards. It's so backwards. But it was the way we've been raised. It's the way we've been raised to not know
Yeah.
ourselves. So we have to understand that because fun, curiosity, like you said, it wasn't in your house. That's really how you get to know yourself, is to really get that gregarious, you find your passion, your heart's open, your mind is open, you're bright, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us didn't have that in our households, and it wasn't respected. And so that, to me, is such a horrible thing to do to yourself, because your energy's low, you only at eye level, you just do your to-do list and you're like this, you're moving ahead. And if you're going to look back on your life, and if you're going to think to yourself, how many times did I actually laugh out loud and have true joy in my life? Right? When's the last
Yeah.
time I laughed, got on a swing and swung and got on the playground and skipped? How about skipping? When's the last time you skipped?
Oh my gosh, for me,
Yes.
not too long ago,
Good.
actually.
Good.
It was a blast. It's something that I'm tall. I'm 5'11" and a half, and so skipping is one of the
Yes.
funnest things to do.
Get
But
on a
yeah, no, I
swing.
love that. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have to
Just
go back.
all kinds of pushing the play out of us, right? And then the next thing
Yes.
you know, it's just flowing.
Yes, and why what's the, what's the, over focus on being so serious? What's the benefit of that?
Hmm.
What is the benefit of being so serious? What's the benefit of being so responsible? What's the benefit of this stuff?
Right.
Really?
Right. I mean, so many great questions that we can ask ourselves when it comes to how we choose to perceive and the patterns of whether or not it's appropriate to question, that all of it, all the narratives, all
All
the
of it.
stories, all of the expectations, all, like you had said earlier. I think that's such a great awareness, and I think it's important that, for each of us out there, it can feel overwhelming, but it's also just one little bit at a time, to take our time to start to unravel and get to the core of the truth of who we are, and have that include something about ourselves that is going to really bring out the joy of who what really is inside.
Well, joy, gratitude, curiosity, laughter, those are high vibration energies. Okay?
Yeah.
They are the ones that spark imagination, that spark intimacy, that spark relationships, that spark conversations. That is the high energy, and it's people love it. People love it, right?
Hmm.
And that is where, you know, there's a sense of vulnerability that happens for women who are more contained and feel they have to be very responsible and in control of everything. Um, it's it's very vulnerable to be open and free, and light is very vulnerable, and it can almost bring tears to a person's eyes because it's so vulnerable. And
Yeah.
so we, but you know what? You get to do it. Like, you get to be that beautiful, open woman who can also kick some booty. Can we say, who can get stuff done?
Yeah, and I think that's really, from what I gather, in terms of your coaching, is really helping women to find that balance, to still have just a very strong drive and ambition and desires, but also to be able to bring in within ourselves this balance so that we can find freedom, that we can find that liberation within ourselves, so then it's flowing freely and doesn't feel forced. So in terms of, the time that followed your loss of your fiance, how did you go about rediscovering joy and meaning in your own life?
Yeah, so I would say that my fiance was, I would say, the first person in my life who ever truly loved me. Like, that was such a big loss for me because he was the one person in my life who saw me, who accepted me, and who loved me, right? And I had never received that in my whole life. Me being okay being me. What? No little adjustments, no little, like, you need to do d. If you just did that, then it's no. Full on, like, right? And so when I lost him, it was interesting because I felt the love, I understood the love, but it was filtering from him to me, right? And so when he left, it was like an empty vessel. But I had the understanding what it felt like to be truly loved. So I kept trying to go back to me loving myself in that manner, right? Which is unconditionally. So I had to let go of perfection. I was a big perfectionist. I had to let go of very linear ways of speaking that would damage me because they were so linear. I had to find my confidence, find my voice, because I really didn't use my voice. I used my body, right? So I danced. I was very body orientated. I wanted to say the words, they just would not come out, but I wanted to say them, right? So I had to find my voice, had to find my confidence, but I would have to say it came from this openness of his love and also Mother God Universe's uh, unconditional love that I had already tapped into through the meditation group. Because I grew up atheist, so I didn't have any idea of universe, of God, Mother God, however you want to say it, that it was always available to me. Like, so I got into that meditation and hooking up to, I could say, Mother God, universe, and allowing that pure love to come inside me was one level. His pure love was another level, right? Where I got to understand what it meant to love myself. And in loving myself, it meant that I gave up perfection, judgment. I give up the idea that I have to be perfect. We all have to give up the idea of being perfect. We have to be perfect. And allow for openness, allow for peace to come in, allow for all these things so that I get to know myself at such an intimate level that I can help others achieve the same thing. But many of us have never been truly loved.
Yeah, and I think for many of us, who have grown up in challenging, family dynamics, there is a real hesitancy to even know what that is, right? And so having that gift that you receive through that relationship and then being able to pass that on to help people be able to recognize the love within themselves, and be able to express that out, I think is such a beautiful thing. I think it's just such an amazing way that you can kind of take that gift of the love that you received and then be able to figure out how we can express that, in other ways. So, oh, beautiful. So, as we kind of wrap up our conversation today, I would love to ask you if there was one mindset shift that you hope our audience would take away from our conversation, what would it be?
I would say I use this after my fiance passed away. I use this teaching, and the teaching is you are where you're supposed to be. So, where's the lesson? How can you be better and do better in this moment? But you are where you're supposed to be, whether you're starting out in your transformation, whether you're years ahead into your transformation, whether you're miserable, whether you're happy. You are where you're supposed to be. There's a lesson to be learned in this moment of time. There's no reason to be anywhere else other than where you're at right now. And when you radically accept that and you go into, like, even if you're miserable, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be miserable right now. Now, this is where the curiosity and question is, why am I miserable? Huh? Why am I fearful of leaving the situation? This is interesting, right? So I used that as I was, sitting in a community college at age 43 and there's 19-year-olds around me and I'm like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. How can I like sit here and embrace this moment and do well in this moment? How can I do that? And that's exactly how I live my life. I wake up to, oh, I am where I'm supposed to be right now. Okay, what can I learn today about this moment? It's when we stop fighting our own reality. We have to stop fighting it and go into
Yeah.
accepting it. And when you accept, there's peace. And when there's peace, there's then choice.
Man. Ooh, that's some powerful stuff. And it's like, it's a hard yet really beautiful reality that it's all right there. We are exactly where we're supposed to be. I think that one of the things I've really recognized in my HR career over the years is how often I would work with employees and leaders in organizations who really would get themselves tripped up around where they thought should be, right? Like I should have been this leader, I should have been doing this. And it causes them to really not not be able to move forward. Over and over again I would see that lack of being able to accept the reality of what is. And when you mentioned radical acceptance, I remember I read a book years ago. Was it Tara Brach who wrote Radical Acceptance, or do you recall
I
who
don't
wrote?
know.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So there is a book out there called Radical Acceptance, and the things that you're saying right now sound so familiar to that. And it's really really much easier said than done. The idea of being able to radically accept everything exactly as it is without trying to manipulate, without trying to change the outcome, without trying, all of those things is where our brains really require that practice, and also the repetition around it's okay, you are okay, everything is okay, right? And I think for me, as somebody who lived their life just with chaos constantly, right, it was almost an addiction to chaos and drama. When I finally started to get to a place of radical acceptance, it was like I'm gripping my chair practically. I'm like, like how do I, I'm so used to like the drama. And what I have found slowly but surely is that when you start to let that go and you start to kind of just breathe in with exactly what it is without trying to change and manipulate, wow, I mean, it really starts to settle in a beautiful, beautiful way. But I think for some of us that it's really feels like a tall order when you start out that journey of just go ahead and radically accept yourself. No, no problem. You got this. So, any final thoughts or any final words of wisdom to pass along as we head off today?
Yeah, I would just say get into like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm where just get into that little mantra. Start writing down like when you're not happy doing something, acknowledge it. We need to start telling ourselves the truth and stop making excuses. And then just keep breathing, keep breathing. Know that, this life we have is actually an adventure. We might think we have control, but we don't. And that's just a fallacy. That's a that's not real. I know that because I was fine one day and 6 weeks later my fiance was on. So I got that lesson real quick. Control is just construct. It's not real. And that you get to laugh, you get to have fun, you get to be happy with your life and settled and grounded and beautiful and open. You get to have all these things.
Yeah, it's available. right? And it's just about letting go and then being open to what can be once you let go.
Yeah.
What beautiful. I love that so much, Amy. Thank you so much for such a great conversation and so many words of wisdom and nuggets to pull from that. I can't wait to go through the notes and be able to pull a great summary together from this conversation. So, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this interview. So, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Jen.